Ever since it was put into the game, I've never understood this item, Titanic Hydra. It was added in 2015 to serve as another option for what you can build Time-At into, other than the usual Ravenous Hydra build that was the only option at the time. And I'll say again, when it was introduced to League, I didn't understand it at all. Okay, so it has this weird cone passive and active instead of the circle one that Ravenous Hydra has. That's cool. The active has double the cooldown compared to Ravenous, so that seems weird, but it's whatever. Let's call it a wash and compare these stats. Ravenous Hydra gives you 75 bonus attack damage, plus 100% base health regen, and 12% lifesteal. What does Titanic give you? Titanic gives you 40 less bonus attack damage and some health to replace the lifesteal. That's it. They both cost the same amount of gold, and their stats don't really give a very convincing argument for why I should build Titanic over Ravenous, so for the longest time, I just ignored the item and never really implemented it on any of my builds. I play a lot of melee bruisers top lane, so you think this would be the perfect item for me, but I really didn't get why I would build it over any other option. On Aurelia, for instance, let's compare these stats to the stats of the other items I might want to go for in certain situations. If I want to build damage, I can get the 35 bonus AD from this item, and that's cool, right? But I could also go for a Blade of the Ruin King, which costs 200 less gold firstly. It gives me 5 more attack damage, 25% attack speed, and 15% lifesteal on top of a arguably better passive and active when it comes to putting out damage and killing people. Same deal if we're talking about the tank stats. Titanic Hydra does have 450 health and plus 100% bonus health regen, but just a Randuin's is 600 gold less, and it gives me 50 more health, not to mention 60 armor and 10% critical strike damage reduction, which is obviously a much better choice. On Aurelia in particular, it just didn't make any kind of sense to me why you would want to go for this item. You didn't get any sort of significant stat advantage by building it compared to the other options. You didn't get any sort of special hybridization stat line either, like you got a little more tanky and a little more damage. I guess there's not too many items in the game that do that, but it never really felt that good, and now there's other options like Black Cleaver you can go for. But still, people all over Challenger, Master Tier, and Upper Diamond consistently build it on her, so eventually I just forced myself to do so and see how it worked out, and you know what happened? I got crushed. It didn't work out at all. I always found myself just wishing I built Randuin's or something else. The strategy that I have for playing Aurelia is mostly just going for kills in laning phase and then looking to either pick people off in the jungle, areas like that in the mid to late game, or TP gank with a little bit of split push, or mostly, more often than not, I just group with the team and look to assassinate squishy carries where this item doesn't help with that kind of assassination or tankiness. It doesn't help with team fights at all, so eventually I just gave up on it. But why am I talking about it today then? Well, I finally figured out how it fits into everything, thanks to Nisi, or Nice now, I guess, and I honestly think this item might be what gets me unhard stuck from Diamond 4, and it might be what takes me all the way up to Master Tier. Nisi, for those of you who don't know, is a Master Tier, I think Master Tier, High Diamond to Master player, who streams and makes YouTube videos, and is an overall really cool guy. I've played a number of games with him before. Seeing as he's someone who's carried himself all the way through Diamond, being a Tryndamere top main and making it to Master Tier, I figured he might have some solid advice for strategies and what I could implement to improve my own game. So the other evening, I watched a number of his videos where he talked about his strategies and advice for climbing through low to mid Diamond as a top laner, and I was surprised that his #1 piece of advice is go and split push. It took a while for me to understand, but I finally see now this honestly might be one of, if not the biggest mistake that I have currently in my gameplay when it comes to climbing through solo queue. Split pushing is obviously something that can be very annoying. Everyone has to deal with it sometimes, and you can know how difficult it is to deal with an uncoordinated team. But specifically for top laners who are good at 1v1ing in particular, a good split push can single-handedly win you the game. I actually think this is why I've been having so much success with Aatrox recently, doing things like dedicating yesterday's video to him and all that. He may be the best example of a 1v1 king who's also pretty good at splitting. For any of you unaware of how a deadly split push works, here's a pretty good example. In this game right here, I'm able to 1v1 almost anybody with the lead that I have, so the enemy team has to send multiple people to come top lane and try and deal with me as I'm pushing to tower. They send a few, and they can't really catch me since I start running away once I'm in danger, and then, after that, we're able to catch them as they drift out of position. After they're chasing me top lane, they just sort of roam into their own jungle, which is unwarded and lets us engage a really good team fight. That this team fight, we win super handedly, and it eventually helps us win the game. Now, this team fight is in part due to our teammates doing a great job in the actual team fight, but a big reason for why we were able to catch them out was because of me drawing them out of position, and they just sort of split off. They're not as 5. It's pretty easy to pick them all off and kill everyone. That's the power that split pushing has. If you're putting pressure deep down a lane with teleport in particular, so you can join a team if a fight breaks out, the enemy has to spread themselves very thinly to come and deal with you, and it often makes them very uncoordinated, so your team can either split and take a Baron or take other towers on other areas of the map, or just group and end up killing the enemy team. This is where Titanic Hydra comes in, and why it's actually a really good item on Aurelia. The number one factor that determines whether a champion is good at split pushing or not isn't actually how good they are at 1v1ing, it's how good they are at wave clearing. Good wave clear lets you shove to towers very quickly and start taking objectives much faster, which leaves less room for error on your opponent's decisions, and wouldn't you know it, the great 1v1 champion Aurelia has absolutely terrible wave clear. She can clear a wave kind of mediocrely, not poor, not great if she just uses a bunch of Qs over and over on every minion, but other than that, she has to blow her ultimate if she's going to clear a big minion wave very fast. If she buys a Hydra though, then suddenly she has this active that changes everything. It lets her clear a wave in just a few seconds, and with that great clear and the 1v1 potential Aurelia already has, she's suddenly just as good of a split pusher as any other top laner in the game. This is why the actually good Aurelia players build Titanic Hydra on her. Even though we just went over all those stats and stuff about the value of the purchase and the gold and stats that it provides and comparing it to the other options out there, you can't put a numerical value on an item that will turn a mediocre split pusher into a great one, and that's going to win you games. That split push ability is going to turn some of your losses into wins. You cannot put a number on that. The 1v1 kills, 1v2s, Baron opportunities that you create, and everything else that's already good about split pushing is just priceless on its own, but let me also remind you how important the turrets are that you take when you go and split, and just what you're generating for your team when you get one. We all know the bonus 300 gold that you get from getting the first turret. That's the equivalent of getting a full kill's worth of gold, by the way, but try and keep in mind everything else. A kill on an outer turret will give you 100 global gold to each teammate on the map. That's a total of 500 gold, plus 250 gold split amongst the players who participate in destroying the tower. That means that this tower I get with TF top lane here, which is first tower, generates a total of 1050 gold for our team. That's the equivalent of getting 3.5 kills worth of gold. Turret gold rewards actually change based off of the tower that you're killing, so if you kill an inner turret, for instance, it's switched up a little bit. You now get 125 gold for each teammate, plus 175 split amongst the teammates killing the tower. One inner then equals a total of 800 gold for your team. Looking at an example, here's a TP gank that I make where it starts off looking like I just fail. I don't get anything off of it, and even if I maybe helped our team get that kill, it's not really worth using our teleport for that. But instead of just pouting and then heading back to top lane, we make a pretty good call to stay and take the first tower. However, we don't just stop at that. We realize that the Jhin is mid lane. He's not coming back bot. We continue to push, and we get a second tower since there's no one here to defend, picking up that inner. That's a total of 1,850 gold for our team, or just over 6 kills worth of gold. At this point in the game, we're only up 9-8, 1 kill, but that amazing gold lead that we just took with that play gives us a huge advantage. That's actually the entire theme of this game. By the end of this match, we never have more than a 3-kill lead until the final team fight, but look at the gold differentials after all is said and done. That's the kind of power that you have and the kind of thing that you can make happen on your own if you're a good split pusher. I honestly feel like this is a big eureka moment for me as a top laner. Like, I finally made the major adjustment that I hadn't seen before that I needed to make to improve as a player. This item really doesn't feel all that natural to people who play Aurelia before it came out, I think, because before this item you definitely played Aurelia in a much different way, or at least that's the excuse I'm going to make for myself here. I did already know how to split push and how to do it on Aurelia, which I did did sometimes to the best of my ability, but it was never quite as good as it is when you get that Titanic Hydra active, which I feel like this just changes everything. Split pushing on Aurelia is also the biggest thing that I can think of that might keep her relevant in the later stages of the game. Aurelia falls off very hard, as you guys probably know. I say it so often. She falls off very hard in the late game, but she's always able to 1v1 people, so if you're gonna just split push nonstop and always get that 1v1, this is gonna keep her relevant forever. I'm telling you guys, this is huge for me. I don't think you know. I'll try and showcase this in some of our next Road to Masters episodes. Anyway, though, this is just something I thought I'd share with you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it or found it a little bit interesting. If you did, maybe leave a like, maybe comment, maybe subscribe, all that jazz. Anyway, once again, thank you very much if you made it all the way to the end of this video and you're listening to my voice right now. I'll see you all tomorrow, but until then, good luck in solo queue. Have a wonderful day.